as you all might see, I got on here today because in the previous video, I told you all that I had some things to introduce you to. You saw the bears I made in the last video, and I told you about the original bear, which I carved an original of that ended up being one where the pattern was customized a little bit to make something that would be easier for me to carve a little bit more of, kind of be a little more like my own pattern while being partly based on another. But what I wanted to tell you all first is some of the things that led up to the inspiration of carving that. The first thing I want to introduce you to is this particular Santa pattern. And it has a tag on it because it's going to a show this weekend. It is one that I carved out of sapelli. And there were some original ones that I carved out of basswood and painted, even as the original directions in the book said to do. It was in a book called Wood Carving by Rick Butts, and it has patterns of things other than Santa's. This is like the only Santa thing that's in there. But I will say that after I got used to carving this particular Santa pattern, I wanted to learn how to carve more different Santas like his. So, and before I go any further, I will mention that the ones I carved out of basswood and painted have already been sold and given as gifts. And I have carved many more of these out of many more types of wood, many more of which have already been sold or given as gifts. And there are some that I've made more recently out of cherry and poplar where the beard and the face and the ruffles are painted, but the natural color of the wood shows on the rest of it. I can't find those right now except for the ones that I already have packed up for a show this weekend, so I'll probably in another video be able to show you those. But how I want to go a little further with this is to tell you all about another book I got. The book I told you all about yesterday called Wood Carving Santa's Step by Step with Rick Butts. And I have also carved many little Santas from this pattern as well. These are some here that I have carved from macadamia nut wood, which is a very hard wood, something I got experienced with. Not something I would recommend if you really want to carve something that you're not so likely to hurt yourself carving. It's a hard wood. I was just testing it. Don't think I'll ever carve it again because I know now how hard it is. And this was the first pattern that I carved out of that book. And I have never carved any of these originals out of basswood as the book suggested or painted any of them. But what I have done is I have tried some other patterns in the book to the best of my ability. And the one that I told you about that I wanted to introduce you to is the next one that I carved from those patterns, and this is the Adirondack Santa. And this one, it's apparently from the Adirondack Mountains, and what goes with it is this bear. I told you all about how that there was a story about the Grandfather Frost, the Santa of Russia, and about the bear he traveled on to deliver his gifts. That's why this one has little bags on the side with little things coming out to be the gifts. And as I've told you before, this one kind of has one of its forelegs going forward, and it's kind of a little bit more hollowed out between the legs as the original was. Like I mentioned to you before about the bears, I kind of wanted a simpler pattern that I could carve many more of from, and to have more of a pattern of my own. So that was the reason why I made an original first translation of the pattern where I kind of had the front and back legs together and had them all laid out instead of one curled up like this. But this was just an introduction I wanted to give you of how much further along I have come on that kind of work. As you can see, I still have the video on top of the bandsaw cabinet stand, and sometime later today I'm going to get help and we're going to carry the new bandsaw down. So the next video I do, I might be doing it from a different location. Not still here in the shop, but from a different angle of the shop, and have the tablet in a different place to take the video. And I want to again thank you all for watching and say stay in touch.